Hey there, drone fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. In today's clip, I'd like to share the second interview that I was able to arrange last week at the DJI launch event for the Mavic 2 in New York. Now, the gentleman I'm speaking with today is named Adam Lisberg, and he's the Corporate Communication Director for DJI for all of North America. Now, I've known Adam for a few years, and he's a really interesting guy because he's sort of a blend of nerd and marketing guy, which is an unusual position to be in. He can talk down to the finite details of what these products are about, but he's definitely got a marketing spin as well to sort of explain why these products are magical. I like him a lot, and he's a bit of a character, and I mean that in a nice way, and I'll give you an example. So we're at the launch event, and I see him walking across the floor, and he's dressed for the event. He's got a sport coat on, really nice shirt and jeans, but he's wearing a pair of like salmon-colored sneakers. And I had a giggle because I'm thinking, that's a creative guy right there. And that's what I love about this company is that it's built on a lot of creative people, which tend to look at development efforts like the Mavic 2 product a little differently than other drone companies might. And I think that's a good thing for all of us because they're sort of stretching things in directions that are really, really healthy. So I did spend a lot of time with him talking about the legal side of things. I talked to Michael Oldenburg about the product releases and the technology advancements. I wanted to spend time on the legal side of it with Adam because a lot of you guys asked me questions about the ever-increasing regulations around drones, whether it be a state, a park, or a town that puts some kind of ban in place for flying your quads. And you also asked me a lot of questions about the no-fly zones or NFZs that are built into the DJI quad. So I wanted to sort of broach those two subjects with him in the interview. And I think he did a really good job of explaining sort of the answers to both of those questions. I did also try to pepper him with a couple of questions around products, which I didn't get a lot of answers either on camera or off camera because he's really good at keeping the secrets that the parent company wants him to keep. But I'll keep hammering him on those questions. But let's watch the interview, and then I'll come back at the end with some final thoughts. Hi, I'm here with Adam Lisberg, and your title currently is?
Corporate Communication Director, North America.
Wow, that's impressive. That really is.
Hey, call me Spoke. Call me whatever you want. You found me. That's the
So
important
you get a
part
chance to brag about the technology. How cool a job is that?
Oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
It's the best.
And you know, we spend weeks of our life worrying about tiny little details.
Yeah.
How does this feature and how many megapixels and this and that and the other
Right.
thing. And then to have an event like this today where everybody gets to see the result of it and
Right.
what it does. Not just the specs, not just the numbers, but what you can create
Yeah.
with a product like this.
And it's almost like giving birth, right?
It
You've
is.
had 9
It
months
is.
of the hard work to get this
And you know what?
ready.
It's a great metaphor because a woman at 9 months wants this thing over with, and
Right.
everybody else is really so excited to see the baby.
Absolutely.
That's how it feels today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
After all the
Yeah.
work that we've done here, that everybody gets to see and be proud of this.
Wow. Now, you know I'm a huge fan of your technology, and I tear the covers off and look inside, make sure
Yeah.
you're doing everything right. You guys always blow me away. I came here with really high expectations, and you've exceeded those expectations. You really have.
fantastic.
All kidding aside, because I kind of knew some of the things that were coming from all the sneaky leaks that came out, but I had no idea those features that you built in around the dolly zoom and all the other technologies around active track. It seems like what you're building now is this beautiful flying camera that almost anybody can take the perfect shot with.
Yeah, that's the idea, is
Okay.
that more and more we are coming up with really advanced technology. I mean, there's a lot of machine
It is,
learning and
yeah,
AI
absolutely.
built into these to allow you to do the kinds of moves and the kind of imaging that you needed really professional gear and a lot of professional experience to do before.
Right.
I mean, you know, to make a beautiful shot like this is going to take practice, but it's fun.
Right,
and,
it is.
You know, and it's achievable. It's something that you can do with what's in your hands, and you don't have to go to the wildest deserts or the farthest reaches of Greenland
No.
to come up with incredible imagery here. You know, these
No,
gives you the tools to do that.
We live in the tri-state area. There's a
Right.
lot of beautiful places to shoot here.
Yep.
Now, you fly yourself as well, right? You're a
Yes,
flyer?
yeah.
Okay. Do you have a favorite drone? And don't say the Mavic 2. That doesn't count.
So the Mavic 2 is it's so new that I haven't had one to take home yet. I got to get
You
in
might
line
snag
behind
one
everybody.
back
Right,
there,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll see what I can do. If someone leaves one behind. You know, the Mavic Air is a great product because it's certainly more affordable, and it allows you to get an awful lot of that technology in that, but it's an even smaller package.
I
You know,
totally
it's
agree.
almost
I
package.
do. Yep.
So, and you know, what we try to provide across our whole product range, from Spark all the way up to the professional drones, is a range of what do you need, what do you want to spend, how much
Right.
are you going to use it, what do you want to use it for, and what kinds of tools do you want to be able to. If you're a serious image maker, if you're the kind of prosumer who 20 years ago would have been the one buying a serious DSLR and not just a point and shoot, you're going to be the kind of person that a Mavic 2 Pro or a Mavic 2 Zoom is aimed at.
Right.
If you want to, you know, just be able to take some quick and easy pictures, have fun flying, see the world around you, you could be fun with a Spark. So that's why
Yeah.
we make a range of products like
I
this
like
to
that a
serve
lot
what
about you
people want.
because I get a lot of questions on the channel. What drone should I buy? Rick, you put clips together. What drone should I buy? And it's a hard question to answer
Sure.
because I'd like you to start with the Tello, fly that for a little while, get comfortable with it, then maybe move up to a Spark. And I like that you've got this sort of landscape of products that you can buy what you want today and you can upgrade later on. And there's a vibrant market for used drones out there. So a lot of guys will buy them and then trade up to something else. And you guys introduced the DJI Treetop Program, I think it's called.
Yes.
Where you can actually trade in the technology, right?
The things that are kicking around in your drawer with dead batteries and
how cool is that?
Screens,
And that's not just drones, it's like tablets and phones, any tech really, right?
Okay. There's a whole service that does that. It's funny, 2 years ago, one of my standard lines was, you might want to start out with a basic drone because you're going to crash it. Increasingly, with the technology built into it, between the active track modes and the various tracking modes and the quick shots, and the obstacle avoidance that we built in, the APAS system, I certainly would never say that you can't crash a drone. You certainly can if you try.
Well, it's not idiot-proof because I've crashed it, and I'm an idiot, so I can definitely crash it.
Yeah, but it takes skill, it takes awareness, it takes practice, and we want everyone to know the rules, know the laws, and know how to control your drone.
Absolutely, fly safe.
But it's, this is not the speculative technology that it was 2 or 3 years ago. It's something that people can use right now to make amazing work.
Absolutely, I agree. And it's funny because when you talk about obstacle avoidance, a lot of companies say we have obstacle avoidance, but it's not really that sophisticated. Or we've got active track-like technologies, but then if you're out in the desert with nobody around you, it'll track you. But the minute you walk near a tree, it's gone, it's confused, right? So I like that you guys are constantly evolving that technology.
A lot of companies announce a lot of things that we've already announced.
Right, I know. I know. I'm not going to start throwing stones because I get enough grief already for being a DJI fanboy. But all right, so let me shift gears a little bit and talk about legislation, because one of the questions that comes up on the channel all the time is, I don't even know if I want to buy a drone because the laws are so draconian, everybody's putting regulations in place. I just found out today, thank goodness for the Node people, that New Jersey now we are able to fly pretty much everywhere that there isn't an official NFZ established, which is wonderful. I know you're working hard, DJI is working hard, and there's a lot of grassroots organizations looking to sort of be sensible about how the rules are in place. If it's someplace you shouldn't fly, then don't fly there. But if it's a beach and there's nobody around, why would it be a big deal after hours?
Yeah, people who know drones, people who are in the community, they know that the overwhelming majority of people want to fly safely and responsibly. They don't want to be a nuisance, they don't want to cause trouble, they're not trying to break any laws. They want to fly because it's fun and they want to make great imagery. And they, in many areas, have been running into ordinances, laws, regulations that are based on fear. It's a new technology, nobody knows what to do with it.
Let's lock it down and we figure it out.
Let's just ban this until we can figure out how to handle it, which ends up stifling the creativity of people in town, the ability of students to go learn how to fly a drone as part of a science class, and the ability of someone who's flying a drone in the backyard for fun to apply that to work, and suddenly they're able to use on a construction site or on a building job or for inspecting the top of a building, to be able to use a drone for that. All of those uses are beneficial for society. They make life more fun. They help businesses operate more efficiently. They certainly improve safety when you don't have to have somebody climbing up on a roof to do an insurance adjustment or an inspection.
Or a rescue worker, with a thermal camera looking and finding people that are lost in the woods. Yeah, absolutely. And I also agree that I think there's a whole new industry that's emerging around drones, right? Commercial drone operations between real estate photography and regular wedding photography, inspections, all that.
Yeah, this is a point that we tried to make here during the event, that the FAA says there are 100,000 registered commercial drone pilots in the U.S. You extrapolate around the world, hundreds of thousands of people who are flying for work around the world. Those people ought to be able to do their work. The benefits of using drones are so clear in work situations. But we also need to keep in mind that people wouldn't be flying them for work if they weren't flying them for fun in the first place.
Absolutely.
You need to have that pathway from thinking that something is cool, trying it around, playing with it.
It's a skill. You got to take some time and develop it and fly safe.
But there are lots of businesses, big businesses, that are putting drones to work based on people who started out as hobbyists, seeing what they could do. You need to keep that innovation pipeline open.
Gotcha.
And that is an argument that has worked very well in trying to come up with bills. There are a number of states in the nation where the states have said, yes, we agree that drones need responsible regulation, but you can't have overly draconian rules, and most importantly, you can't have a patchwork. It does not make sense for one town to ban all drones, for the next town to allow all drones, and the one next to it to say there can only be a commercial pilot between 7 in the morning and 8. All these are crazy things that you've ever heard of. It's impossible.
Just
to
level the playing field.
Level the playing field for everyone, because people are more likely to follow a regulation and a law if it makes sense and if it's easy to understand.
Yep.
it's complicated, then the only people who will follow it are the law, who won't fly are the law-abiding ones. Everyone else will,
just fly where they want. Yeah,
exactly.
All right. So the last question I have for you, and it's a hard one.
Sure.
But I get it on the channel all the time, and I'm going to take a position on this, which is not going to be popular.
Sure.
It has to do with your built-in no-fly zone restrictions.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's a good thing, and I know that a lot of people say that it's overarching from your perspective. They bought the drone, let me fly it where I want to fly it. But the no-fly zones you've got built into these are officially sanctioned by the FAA, approved no-fly zones, airport sensitive facilities like a nuclear plant or power plant, military facility. Those are areas that if you flew into them, you'd be breaking the law technically from an FAA perspective. So I view it as you're saving me the headache of maybe wandering into an area that I shouldn't. And if you're telling me you don't want those restrictions, why wouldn't you want those restrictions? You're going to fly there and break the law.
Yeah.
So to me, I think you spend a lot of time and treasure developing that technology into the quad, and that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, we have, to be clear, there's not a strict one-to-one map between our geofencing system and what the FAA defines as no-fly zones.
Right.
There are areas that we mark out as you should be aware of where you are, such as parks that the FAA is concerned with. And there are some wildfire TFRs and wildfires.
It's hard to react to that quickly, yeah.
That aren't even in the FAA's TFR database, but we're able to put them through as part of our partnership with DOI. So with that caveat, our philosophy has always been that flying drones is ultimately the responsibility of the operator.
Right.
We don't want anyone to say, look at a map and say, well, the map told me I could do this or I can't do this. Or
you got to be smart about it, that's all.
You got to understand the rules, you have to be aware of where you are, you need to know if you're within 5 miles of an airport, you need to know if you're in a place that creates other kinds of security restrictions. That the GEOsystem is an advisory system to help pilots make smart decisions. In the most critical areas, directly over an airport runway or over a nuclear power plant, in areas like that, yes, you need to get an unlock code to get into, which we think is a reasonable compromise.
I agree.
Because the consequences of violating that kind of airspace could be so severe. But that's the reason why, short of that, you can self-unlock the restricted zones.
Right.
Because there are plenty of people who have legitimate reasons and have authorization to fly in some of these restricted zones.
Sure.
So that's why we've created this graded system of what allows you to go to where, but ultimately it's up to the pilot to do that. We think that, and DJI has spent a lot of money on this system.
Absolutely.
I've heard the same kinds of stories that you have. I'm sure we have lost customers because they say,
I'll buy anybody else because they don't have the stupid NFZs.
Right.
But my argument back is it's responsible.
Yeah, that's what we think. That, there are a number of things that DJI does because we feel responsible as the market leader for trying to deal with some of these issues.
Right.
So we've spent a lot of time and money developing Aeroscope. We spent a lot of time and money developing geofencing in the first place.
Right.
Spent a lot of time and money and have lost opportunities to sell to some daredevils, I'm sure, by putting maximum altitude limits on our craft.
Yeah.
Things like that. If you're going to fly a drone, our take is you need to be responsible, as the overwhelming majority of drone pilots have shown they want to be. And
that's true with any technology, though.
Yeah,
you've got to be responsible. All right, so the last question, and this is kind of a compliment to you guys, is I love that you're so responsive when something comes up. So when people say we don't like all the information that's being shared, you allow them to shut that down.
Yeah.
If there's a no-fly zone and they've got authorization, you unlock that no-fly zone. So you're a very responsive company. You could be a company that just sits back and says, that's the way we built it. We're not spending any more money developing that just because you want it. And I think that's really a positive thing. It's a really a good thing for a company to be that flexible.
Yeah. We need to respond to the concerns of people. Who, as the market leader, we have this kind of responsibility.
Right.
People have big expectations. We need to be able to try to satisfy.
Excellent.
Those.
Good. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. A lot of tough questions. You did pretty well.
Always enjoy talking with you. Always
Same
good
here.
Seeing you.
Well, it's good seeing you today. Thanks again for the invite today. Appreciate it.
Right.
We'll see you guys soon. That interview was a whole lot of fun, and I love spending time with Adam because he's one of those guys at DJI that really understands the entire landscape of development that's going on at that company. He's been involved in pretty much every product that's been released or is under development, from the consumer space through the commercial products, all the way up through their high-end video equipment. So any chance I get to pick his brain on technology details really helps me make a better guess as to what to expect next from DJI. Now, I did spend most of this interview talking about the legal side of things because a lot of the questions I got from you guys before I left for the launch event were around the no-fly zones that are hard-coded into the DJI products. And I know this is a controversial topic, but I have to take a position on this, and I did it in the clip as well. I feel like the NFZs that are coded into those quads really are a protection for me as a flyer to not invade a certain space that I'm not allowed to fly in. Now remember, the NFZs that are coded in there are approved by the FAA, so a facility has to apply to the FAA to get that special exemption to create this no-fly zone so the quad doesn't intrude on their airspace, and those are really limited. They're airports, they're military facilities, they're prisons, maybe they're sensitive facilities like nuclear power plants and electric grids, and I know it's frustrating to sort of try to put your quad up and find out that you're an NFZ, but honestly, you shouldn't be flying in those areas anyway. And I know a lot of people have the opinion of like, well, I bought the quad, I can fly it anywhere I want. They don't put governors on my car. Why would they govern my quad? Well, honestly, let's use the car analogy for a second. How far do you think you'd get into a military facility if you busted through the gate with your car? I don't think you'd get very far in there. Same thing in an airport, a prison. So flying your quad over that invisible fence into that restricted area, you're violating the same type of airspace that you would with a car driving on the facility. Now, the only place that doesn't apply are maybe airports, because there's a 5-mile restriction on airports. But honestly, if you call the airport, and I've done this, you can get okays to fly as long as you're not over a runway someplace. You can be very close to an airport. You just have to call them and tell them you're putting the quad up, and they're pretty much okay with it. And I've got to sort of look at DJI's responsibility of balancing the safety versus the freedom, right? And that's a challenging thing for them. So as he said in the interview, they're trying to make that easier for you to unlock those NFZs if you have permission to fly in that area. And I can't really fault them for building it in because they're trying to be a responsible company. I'm a responsible flyer, so I love the fact that when I put it up and I inadvertently fly too close to a military base or maybe too close to a power plant, it lets me know that I shouldn't be flying there. I bring it back down, I land it, and then I drive someplace else to fly it. So anyway, that's enough on the NFZs. The other thing I thought was cool, I peppered him a lot off camera with questions around products that are coming in. I'm telling you, he was stone-faced. So as much as we were laughing and having fun, when I asked him a question off camera about what's coming next, his composition changed completely, and he's like, I have no comment on that. So it's kind of interesting how tight-lipped they are about releases of new products, but I felt like it was a pretty cool thing in the middle of that interview for me to talk about other companies that have features that they're announcing as if they're big deals, and he snuck in this comment, and he's a seasoned marketing professional, so I had to listen to it afterwards, and it made me laugh, but he said, there are a lot of other companies out there that are announcing features that we've already released. So it's a very competitive market, and I thought that was just a brilliant comment to sneak it in the middle of that. But anyway, that was the clip. I've enjoyed doing these clips at the show, and anytime I get a chance to talk to these guys, I'll put some more together. So if you have any questions about anything I've covered in this clip or other clips that I've done, drop them in the comments below. I expect to have my Mavic 2s in my hands tomorrow, so expect me to put a flood of clips out talking about the quads, comparing them to other quads, showing you the features and functions, and really getting into in depth with what the Mavics can provide. I love putting these clips together, so hopefully you guys are enjoying them. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button down the bottom. That way you'll know when we post a new clip, and you'll get a notice, and you can come back and watch the clip. I really love putting these together, and as long as you guys are enjoying them, I'm going to continue to do them. So I hope you're getting a lot of time to fly this summer, and until next time, happy flying.